We are here to talk about WECO parks in the Caribbean and developing countries. Let me introduce Matthew from ARC International to elaborate on it.
Well, thanks, WECO. Today we're going to be talking about WECO parks as it relates to the Caribbean and developing countries. So in the Caribbean and in developing countries, when we're dealing with renewable waste, recycling, and landfills in communities, we're dealing with typically a mid-level to a low-level landfill operation. So there's things that come with that are different or looked at sometimes as hindrances compared to a very high-level North American or European type of standard when it comes to landfilling. So some of those things that we have to face with WECO parks coming into a community that has that standard is they have little to no tipping fees from the waste producer. So that does cause problems because we're looking at the economics of the operation. So the standards aren't necessarily there for a landfill or a collection system that you would see in a North American country. So there's obstacles there with mixing and sorting and contaminants. Smaller communities typically have waste habits that aren't conducive to being able to move forward in a better direction. So you have to come through and you have to work with the demographics, and you have different mindsets that are generational that you have to work through. So you have to change practices, and that takes education. And then through the process, it comes down to who's going to pay for the change, because the change has to happen to be able to get to a standard, to be able to be more efficient in your waste use, your renewable waste reuse. And in these situations, because the tipping fee is very low, or the fee to be able to pay to get rid of waste isn't there, so we have to keep the costs and the equipment costs and the technology costs as low as we can so that it can be economical, can be good for the community. So we just want to talk about some of those things that we're facing up front so we know what we're getting into while we go through this presentation. So let's just talk about some of the steps that we're going to have to go through, and then we're going to go through and break down each of those steps. So the first thing we do is we come in and we organize the locations in the communities. The second thing is the pickup options and the collection and compression and shipping to make it more efficient. We're going to talk about the centralization for sorting and fuel briquetting for a WECO park. And then for the WECO park itself, we're going to talk a little bit about the clean energy, the fuel, the food, the water, the bioproducts of the facility. We also are going to talk about the traceability and the accountability and the reward system that's going to go back to everybody in the communities who participates. We're going to talk about our community connection program, where we give back to the local community. We're going to talk about how WECO Parks comes in and creates a circular economy, where we're able to take a resource that is a liability to a community and start to turn it into an asset, and then create other things in the community to bring back more opportunity in the community. And then we're going to talk about the easy steps that we have in the WECO Park website, how we made it streamlined and efficient for you to be able to participate. So organizing communities and the locations. So what we do online through our digital process is we do a digital mapping, the distances, the waste volumes, the population, and we get all the raw data together that we're going to need and help us to be able to understand what size of a WECO park and components we're going to be able to bring in. And then when we work with the local communities, we educate them in an education program that we have about some of the source separation that they're going to have to do by keeping out the metal and the glass to keep it separate from the plastic and the wood and the fibers and the papers and the cardboards that can be commingled. Because we're working with a lower tipping fee, we get the participation of the community to be able to bring down that cost, because we can't afford to bring in the highest level of equipment that we would in North America. We're still working with the same manufacturers, but we're bringing in mid to lower level opportunities. So when we're dealing with multiple communities, we have to look at how we're going to pick up the collection and the compression and the shipping of the waste materials and being able to bring them to a centralized location. So we, in this situation, look at baling, portable balers or balers in different communities where the waste is put in, it's densified about 5-to-1, metal straps around it, plastic is wrapped around it, and the bale's put off to the side. And what happens is from these smaller communities, a truck goes around and the truck picks them up with a forklift, puts them on the bed. We load up the truck from the different communities and we bring it to the larger facility where we have the larger equipment where we get into the grinding, the separation, and the briquetting. And this is a really nice, very cost-effective way to be able to get small groups of communities or reclaim locations where people were using a landfill, maybe where they shouldn't have, and being able to clean up a situation. So for the third point, a centralized sorting and briquetting system for the renewable, the mixed material that comes into the facility. So we have that in a larger community because the smaller communities are going to feed into it. And that's where we have our large grinders and separators and then the briquetters. So we do some sorting there to guarantee that there is no metal and there is no glass in the mixed materials. And then we briquette the fuel and we compress it at about a 9-to-1 ratio. And that 9-to-1 ratio, you get a really thick briquette. And then that's the fuel that we're able to use there if we have the energy system there, or we store it there and then we transfer it over to the location where we have the cogeneration, the greenhouse, and other things. So steps 1, 2, and 3 were a lot about working with the communities, being able to cost effectively pick up, compress, and briquette the fuel material that's been source separated. And then now in number 4, we're going to start talking about the WECO Park itself. And that's where we have clean energy, liquid fuels, food production, clean water, and bioproducts manufacturing. And it's in a cluster that we call WECO Parks. So the clean energy system that we have is a technology that's owned by WECO, where we take the mixed renewable byproduct, it's all renewable mixed materials, and then we put it through our system and it creates a syngas, and that syngas is used to be able to run engines. And then some of the syngas is also turned into liquid fuel. So now we have a product where we're able to sell electricity to local large businesses or factories or building near an industrial park and making now industry green and attracting other industry to come in to use green energy. Or I should say, we sell some of the energy back in a power purchase agreement with the local community, with the government. So, that's where you get into a public-private partnership at sometimes. But what we do is we take the waste heat, which is required. So we're not going to waste that energy. We're going to use that as a valued asset in the CO2 that comes out of the exhaust. And we're going to use that to power the greenhouse and other types of food production. We also have water purification because we have to make sure we purify all the water within the greenhouse. And then there's some products that we separate out and we're able to make bioproducts. We can do that with purpose-grown crops. And then we have biodegradable packaging and containers, further helping the local economy with the farming community. So there's a whole bunch of other options on our website from WECO Park Parts. And again, when we talk to your community, when they sign up with us, we start to understand what parts and what opportunities we can bring in so that we can add more jobs and we can bring money back into that community and we can donate back to that community so it can have a better circle of life. So one of the great things that WECO has put together with some of its channel partners is traceability, accountability, and rewards. So WECO operates a system where we track absolutely everything through a ledger, and that ledger is incorruptible. And that ledger is backed by a blockchain. So our blockchain has all the information in it about the waste that's picked up, what we do with the renewable waste, the energy that we make, who we sell it to, the bioproducts that we make, the food that we make out of the energy, and we report back to our investing group and the greater community who wants to see how great and positive that we are with our social, environmental, and economic standards, which are very, very high. So with that, we're able to also track and reward those communities, which are smaller communities going to the fuel depot that send the fuel over to the WECO Park, and the individuals So everybody in the community who participates is able to get a digital ID or a digital sign-in, and based on their participation, they're able to get rewards directly back to them for them to be able to use when we partner with different people in different countries for them to reward for sustainable or products in their community. So again, it goes back to the circular economy and the circle of life and getting money and jobs and opportunity back into the community and rewarding everyone for participating for what they're required to do to help make it work. And number 6 is a community connection. So community connection is where we take a certain part of the income that we have generated through the relationship with the community and the government, and then that's put aside to be able to help and give back to the elderly in the communities, the single parents, the orphans, and more. It's the people in need in that community that need a little bit of help, and we're happy to put that money back into the community for those. We also have a program where we can work with local farmers, where we're going to help them by, in the greenhouse, growing small plug plants, and then partnering with them, getting them the plants. They grow it, we help them grow it, we buy back their produce, and we sell it for export. So again, we're bringing new money back into the community. We're using the waste to be able to power and help with the agriculture sector and help to be able to have an income to give back to the local community. It's about the circular economy, and it's about using a waste resource to be able to help communities flourish. And we're on slide number 7. And I guess I got a little ahead of myself. This is the circular economy, but that's exactly what WECO is all about. A circular economy. We're able to have renewable waste and energy, create jobs, local jobs. We're able to have export and being able to export bioproducts, exporting energy, being able to export produce as we develop with the community. We give back into the communities for participating. It's about using something that was a liability within the constraints that we have and bringing the technology that'll fit so that we can pick up the ecology, pick up the economy, the social, environmental, and economic standard within a community and see that community start to flourish. And the great thing is the people that come in and invest in these type of projects with us are impact investors. These are investors who want to be able to see the investment come back. And that's what our blockchain system does. Our simple blockchain that has the data, it's incorruptible, and it's just fantastic for everybody. And they can see it in real time and tangibly how the positive effects are helping everybody while they make money. So if you're a community, if you're a mayor, if you're an economic developer, if you're part of the community in any way, or if you're in government or part of government, contact us, reach out to us through our website at wecoparks.com. When you get to the website, learn about the different types of park options. Take the time. There's lots of videos. We made it easy with the videos to be able to follow and understand. Learn about the parts and the technologies that we can bring from our cluster of technologies and the manufacturers of those different technologies that want to have a good impact. Learn about the fuel and the depots and the things that we can do. And there's a tab there called Start a Park, and there's a small video. See the video, then contact us. We'll reach out to you. And when we reach out to you, we'll start an online portal, and we help you with our call center to be able to talk to you as a representative, help you and give you the tools to be able to bring in and collect other people in the community that we need to be able to participate so we can put a project together. Our group will organize on paper all the financials, the technologies, and the cluster to be able to exactly fit the type of WECO park that's going to be best for you and your community. This is what we're trying to do. We're trying to organize technologies that are already made in an efficient way, working together to have an incredible impact on communities. And communities that could be on an island, communities could be in a developing country, communities that are in North America. The thing is, we have the technology to fit any type of situation, and our goal is to be able to make a circular economy powered by renewable waste so that we can start generating what we need to be able to generate to help communities move forward and take something that is a liability and make it into an asset. Well, I hope you learned something today. I hope you enjoy your time with us. We look forward to hearing from you.